My name is Amihai Grosz, and I'm a viola player and also a principal viola player in the Berlin Philharmonic. I'm happy to be here in Seoul. Lovely place to play music.
You play first time with Sunwoo Kim, conductor. How do you feel this time, this concert?
I'm very excited to play with him for the first time. Sanuk is one of my closest friends in music, and we share so many wonderful moments together, but he was on the piano. And I know how great he is, and I heard so many great things about him as a conductor, and I think he will be a wonderful conductor. So for me, the first time to see him conduct, or to speak on stage, not with a piano, with him as a conductor, I'm very excited. Mm-hmm. He also told me, please don't laugh when you see me conducting, but because between friends, if somebody is doing something very different, you always But I told him that I'm sure it's going to be amazing, and I'm waiting for it.
You have already premiered Dong-Hoon Shin's brand new viola concerto with your orchestra in Berlin, and this time you will premiere the same piece with the Gyeonggi Philharmonic conducted by Sunwoo Kim. How do you feel about Dong-Hoon Shin, the composer, and his new viola concerto?
I find Dong-Hoon is, of course, one of the star uprising composers, and I'm so lucky that I managed to catch him writing this concerto before it's too late. And Dong-Hoon really managed to. We spoke a lot about. It was very interesting because when somebody is writing a concerto for you, especially like Dong-Hoon, he wants to create the best atmosphere and something that fits your playing. So we spoke a lot about many things and about the sound that I want to create, this mellow sound, very romantic. And I think the concerto really caught everything that we spoke of. And he's an amazing, amazing composer. I feel very, very thankful that I managed to convince him to write a viola concerto for me. It's very, very difficult piece. Oh. And when I got the first score, I called him and I said, do you want me? I can play it on a violin if you want, because everything a lot of things are very high. So it was a challenge for me, still a challenge. But again, I mean, it's a wonderful piece. And we premiered it, world premiere was with my orchestra in Berlin. And I have to say, I'm very excited to do it with a different orchestra. It's not better, it's just different. And I think to hear it differently, for me also, the concerto is quite new. I mean, I only played it 3 times in Berlin, but it's not like I would tell you, it's already a few years I'm playing the concerto. I would love to do it. But it's also new for me. So the experience, especially with Sanuk, but also, the connection to Dong-Hoon in the beginning was through Maestro Kim, Sunwoo Kim. They are good friends, and this is how, so we are like 3 of us started 5-6 years ago to think about it, and now we're all together in Seoul playing the concerto. So I think it's a very beautiful conclusion of the concerto.
The viola is often seen as a supporting instrument. How do you define its central and unique voice in music?
In history, the viola was not, unfortunately, because then it was not a soloistic instrument, The idea of the instrument was more to, not to be in front of the stage. It was more to be in the, more in the shadows in a way, because maybe it's not as sharp as a violin, but it's not as deep as a cello. So I think maybe the composer didn't know exactly how to put it as a solo instrument. But for chamber music, of course, it was wonderful. And I think in our days now, I'm talking about also, it can be 50 years ago or more, I think the beauty of the instrument, that it does have the option to be a violin and the option to be a cello, in a way, sound-wise, gives the composer so much freedom. And I think this is what brought the viola to be more soloistic instrument. And I find it wonderful, because for me the viola is the closest sound for the human voice. And this is why I think I feel more comfortable, or this is why I chose the viola, I think, to have it as an instrument for my voice.
When we listen and watch you play, you lead your section well, but also look very free. As a principal violist of the Berlin Philharmonic, how do you balance your duties, your personal expression, so balance?
For me personally, to be principal in the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra is something that come natural somehow, because I used to play almost 20 years in the Jerusalem Quartet, and for me it was clear that if I'm joining an orchestra, I still want to be somebody who can impact more the flow of the music on stage. In our orchestra, in the Berlin Philharmonic, it's not an orchestra that the principals are showing how to play, or there is no hierarchy. And I like it. This is chamber music for me. Chamber music has no hierarchy. Everybody is equal. There is a respect between everybody. But still, my job is, I find my job is not to show them how to play, just to somehow to lead the way. And everybody will do it perfectly. So for me to somehow be a Google map for the group, I like it, and I find it very, very interesting and uplifting on the concert. Of course, sometimes you have concerts that it's more difficult, sometimes it's less, but I like the idea of this kind of play of where the music flow and how I react.
As someone who plays in the orchestra, what do you think makes the Berlin Philharmonic special?
The Berlin Philharmonic it's not a normal orchestra. First of all, the level of the players is unbelievable, the personal level. But each one of them, when we go on stage as a group, everybody forget the soloistic approach. And our goal is to play together, to play like one. And I think this is the power of the orchestra. And for me, it's like chamber music. We play with our ears. It never feels like we sit there and it's work. It's just, we all, as one, try to get the best result and also music result. It's not just to play together. It's just the music should be, the approach is to make the best out of it music-wise. Convincing with the music.
You play sometimes like violin, sometimes like cello. You imagine also other instrument when you play?
I think I don't imagine other instruments when I play the viola. Depends. I think if I be more specific, it depends on the piece. For example, the Brahms sonatas, that was the clarinet. Yes, I think about it, but it's in the back of my head. You can think about it more on the line, or more the bows, how you separate the bows. But on the other hand, I like the fact that you always come back to the instrument that you play.
As a performer, do you care more about playing perfectly or playing with through feeling, or both?
It's a good question. I think a good balance between is something that. But if you ask me, I think for me, it's. I would be happy to play something that will be less perfect and musically more effective.
Is there a symphony or a composer you really love to play?
It's a hard question because I don't have, people ask me a lot, but I really don't have a favorite composer, a favorite piece of music. I think it's changed. It's always changed. It depends on your life. It depends on what suddenly you feel. If it's summer, if it's winter, I think it's mostly depends on the moment. I mean, maybe now I'm thinking now, maybe Beethoven, late quartets, and that's always something that I listened and I thought, wow, it's amazing. But of course, then you have the Bruckner, and then you have the Mahler that we're as we speak, my orchestra plays it on tour. I'm here, but they're on tour. So I don't have. I'm trying not to have. I think if you have a favorite composer, I think it's minimize you. And I think it's the matter of the moment.
Wow. When you perform on stage, what is the most important thing you want to do as a musician?
A dinner after the concert. No, I'm joking.
Beer after the concert.
Beer. What is the most important thing is, for me, to have the music is written, because what we have it's ink, black ink on paper. To really create something to catch the moment of the music and to transfer it to the audience and to create something special. Always it has to be something special. The reason I'm practicing, or the reason we have a technique, the Brahms and the Beethoven and then the Tchaikovsky, we have this technique to create music. And for me, the most important thing on stage is to create music. It's a very large title. What is create music? It depends the style and the composer and what the composer wanted to do. But one has to, when I'm on stage, I really like the fact that I feel the audience and I bring something special on stage from the music. If not, I think it's boring.
Wow. Which advice would you give who want to become great musician?
It's a big. There is not one advice, but I think it's very important to find your voice, your sound. Sound is voice. Interpretation can come after, because this is more intellectual. But to dream what exactly you want to create with the instrument and your sound. To try to think about it. In our days, we don't even think. We have everything already come in, YouTube, social media, everything. I'm not against it, but I think what is happening that young musician playing the instrument without really listening to what they play. And when I say listening to what you play is, you have, as a kid, you have to dream about or to imagine what do you want to hear. And then if you dream about it, there is something in your brain, soul, I don't know, that you work for it. Because if you don't have this, I'm asking myself, what do you have? For what do you practice? If there will be a student that plays well, I don't know, but he needs to play it better or practice. For what do you practice? This question is very not easy to answer. I can say, okay, I practice because I have this sound, and I practice for it. And then you have to find the technique to find this sound. Or music-wise, I like the interpretation of, from the violist. You have Primrose, or you have Zuckerman, or you have Nabucco Imai, or you have Tabea, Bashmet. these things that you should find your voice in it. I know it's not easy, and it's a big, my answer is very, it's a scope of many things. But if you try to find your character in it, I think then you can, at least when you're on stage, you can say something. If you don't have your voice, then you don't say anything on stage.
Was there a time you played or heard music and thought this is real music? What made that moment special?
I think for me, when I was a kid, I was very lucky because I'm from Jerusalem, and I grew up musically in the Jerusalem Music Center. It was established by Isaac Stern and Pablo Casals.
Wow.
For the new generation, I hope they know about those artists, but this is the foundation of, of course they were before them, but just to be next to those masters, because they came to Israel, to Jerusalem, and I got master classes from Isaac and from all the old, really masters. Most of them are not alive anymore. For me, this was,
Wow.
I think something that it's not just about how they play, it's about the personalities. That I think in our days we miss a lot of personality in the music, because there is power of the person that needs to come out, and maybe today a little bit everything is so.
What do you like to do when you're not playing music?
I'm trying to be as much as I can with my family. Of course, I have 2 lovely kids, young kids. I like to play basketball.
Oh.
Yeah, I know it's dangerous for the hands, but I'm not so tall, but I always liked basketball. Yeah, and I just like to try to enjoy life as much as I can outside the music. It's very important to balance it. I think of course it depends how busy you are, but if you can, it's important to balance it, because if you too much in the music, for me it's very important to bring ideas from, let's say, normal life, or just that they can come into the music. And if you just, if you are blocked from normal life, I think you miss a lot of ideas.
Do you like Seoul?
Yes, very much. I've been here many times.
Oh, yes.
I even been in 1985 as a kid. But since then, every time I hear, I just work too much, So I will try this time to go for a temple, go for a market, walk around, because I think it's also important that when you're in a city, a little bit to feel the city and not just stay in the hotel and practice. And
Yes.
so I will try my best.
Thank you for the interview.